Hello and welcome along to the start of a brand new season from this FM19 story part of the furniture with me, Daniel. It's season 8 episode 1 and today we start a new season in the Championship with Torquay United as we look to push on and secure survival again while planning our move to a new home. As usual for the start of the season, we'll have a roundup of our transfer action and then we'll get into the first game of the season, which is at home to Michael Laudrup's Preston of all teams this year, and hopefully we'll be able to get a result and at least a positive performance on the board for the fans. But first, a massive thank you to everyone who continues to support and follow the series. I really do appreciate it, and if you're new to the channel then subscribe below for daily FM19 content from 2 long-term stories. But let's dig our teeth into all the things that have happened at Torquay over the summer. There have been some very interesting bits of news, some really exciting ones, and then quite a lot of frustration as well. So first I want to go and take you back to a news item we had a couple of months ago regarding the new stadium. Here it is, we've gone all the way back, we've travelled back in time to the 14th of May to find it. We'd said partway through last season that our board had agreed to plan a new stadium. They'd given us an 18-month deadline for planning the stadium, and then we were expecting another couple of years before it was built. So imagine my surprise when they came along at the end of last season and said, we've already planned the stadium, here's the capacity, here's the cost, it's in Torquay, and it'll be ready in 2 years. So fantastic news for us. It means that we're still on course in our 10th season. We should be able to go and attack for the Premier League. We'll be in our first season in our new stadium and it could be an absolutely wonderful time for the club. It does mean we've got to cope for 2 more years and raise another 16 million, but you can see although they've got a loan for the stadium, Owen Jack's essentially nearly paid for it by leaving the club for 13.5 million. So if we're able to get a sell-on clause for him as well, it could well pay for the whole thing. So we talked about Jack leaving in January and the frustration it could cause, but that's going to be absolutely massive for us, the fact that he's almost paid for a 15,000 seater stadium. So the exact capacity is 14,775. We've got undersoil heating, which should stop what we had in the early years, which was a couple of postponements, and we should have a stadium to move into in just 2 years time. Most importantly for me, it's in Torquay, so that was all good news, but let's go back to the start of the season and see our transfers from the summer. Okay, we're back in August and we're in the transfer centre. There's lots of news and things going on at the moment. We're trying to do a little bit of late business just to try and get some money into the club and to also try and bulk up the squad. So normally at the start of the season, we did it last year, we had a pre-season transfer special. There's certainly no need for that today and you'll see the reason in a moment. If we go to our transfer history, we've only signed 2 players this summer. It's a very frustrating window, but all in all I'm not too devastated as we've held on to all of our key players, something we've not always been able to say before. So firstly, let's go and look at the released players, just the 3 in total, but a couple that have done some really good work at the club. Miles Kenlock, the old left back, he played for us in our League One first season and the promotion season, so a really good achievement, and he was well worth the £40,000 we spent. He's got us up to the Championship, and that's absolutely changed this series. Ben Lovell, the centre half, he didn't make many appearances for us. He was a hot prospect at one stage, but didn't develop the way we wanted. We would have kept him on for another year or 2, but he wanted 3 times the wage he was on, and he certainly hadn't done anything to earn that. The other one was just a youngster, Johnny Donnelly, not a great player and he's not going to make it, so he's been released after his loan at Truro last year. If we go back to our transfer centre for the players that have actually come in and out, we've managed to recoup 1.4 million and we've only spent 300,000 so far. First, the outs. We've sold a lot of the squad players and a couple of the ones that were getting older too. We've also managed to get some loan fees for the first time this year, which has really been beneficial. So Matt Butcher's gone for £250,000 to Charlton. He came in on loan initially from Sheffield Wednesday, did brilliantly for us in our first League One season, was then a key part of our promotion winning season from League One the year after, that after signing on a free on a permanent basis. And then last season he was a squad player in the Championship. Most of his appearances came off the bench, but he certainly played an important role. He now goes on to Charlton for £250,000, and again we've made a little profit on him, so we've done well in that sense. The same goes for Aaron Shibola. He was only here for one season last year, but was a crucial player for the first 2/3 of the season as we managed to secure survival with plenty of games to spare. 32 starts, 4 goals, 3 assists, and a really solid pro across the board. Helped with a lot of the younger lads after signing him on a free, and he's gone on for £750,000 to Colchester, so a really good profit for us, and it shows just how well we've done to pick these lads up for free before. The next one's Isaac Fletcher. You may remember we signed him last summer on a free, and then we managed to get lots of better players in afterwards. He was out on loan at Dunfermline last year, did okay, and now he's gone to League 2 to play for AFC Fylde, and we're going to get around 55,000 for him this season. We sold Jacob Wakeling to Portsmouth for 100 grand. Again, didn't quite develop the way we wanted, and we've managed to get some better youngsters in since. He ended up making just 6 league appearances for us last year, all off the bench and then a couple in the cup as well. But after signing him for a free and not developing, to get 100 grand's a winning situation for us. We've got Anthony Ralston going out on loan. The only reason for this is because we got Richard Quirk in our youth intake last year. We want to give him a chance as our backup right back, so we've got to let Ralston out as well. He's gone to Bradford City, who again are at this level, so another player moving to the Championship. But after signing him for 165,000 last year, we've loaned him out this season for what will be an accumulative 275,000. So again, a good profit for the lad, who did okay for us last year. 2 more lads that have just gone out on loan. Connor Court's the young right back. He's gone to Cambridge, where he was 2 years ago, I think. So he played for Cambridge. This is a really weird one in the National League a couple of years back. Last season he played for Scunthorpe in League 1. He actually got League 1 Player of the Season, but this year he's only managed to get a loan deal to League 2. I don't quite understand that, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he's going to make it. And then Dinell Simi, who's gone to Wraith. He was on loan in Scotland last year at Dundee United, and this time he's gone to another club in the Scottish Premier League. But let's move on to the 2-ins. They're the most important ones. Although you may think our squad's bare at this point, I will remind you I've signed 2 or 3 of our loan players on extensions for another year, so it's not quite as bad as it looks. But the aim is to try and give some of our youngsters more of a chance this year, and hopefully we'll be able to do just that. So the first one is the big signing. We spoke about him already last season, as it was a pre-agreed transfer. Robson Brown from Chelsea for £200,000. He's a young centre-half, 3.5-star ability, 5-star potential. He's got plenty of good physical and mental attributes, and we hope he'll continue to develop with a full season of football. The other one is the man we've talked about briefly, John Zaniga, who's the foreign import. He's come from Junior, who I think are in Colombia. They are indeed, £95,000, and he's a Colombian 18-year-old with 20 under-20 caps already. He's a 2-star ability midfielder with 4.5 potential. He's got an unambitious personality, which we're mentoring at the moment, but he looks like he's got all the right attributes to become a decent player in the future. At the very least, we should make a big profit out of him. He's done really well at the Under-20 World Cup this summer. If we go and show you the players that we've secured an additional loan season for, just so you can see the ones that have stayed around, we managed to keep James Baldock, which was absolutely crucial. 3.5-star ability, 4-star potential from Cardiff, an Under-21 international for Wales, and a really solid pro in the middle of that back 3. We've also kept Darren Mapley for another year. This one was quite important for us. Although it's a fairly big financial outlay, he's on 6.75 grand a week. He's a player who's come in essentially to replace Tagzeth after half a season on loan last year. We lost the former loan player from Liverpool, our parent club, because he went off to the MLS to play for Houston Dynamo. So now we needed to have a playmaker in the team who was ready to play at this level now. And bar anticipation and composure, he's got fantastic stats for the position. So I hope he'll make a big impact this year, but we'll wait and see what happens. The other one is Stephen McComb. Obviously I was reluctant to loan him again because we had a sell-on clause with Sheffield United and we need him to be worth more money. But this year he's going to be a lot closer to the first team squad, as we've lost the likes of Butcher and Shibola from midfield, and I really think he can make an impact off the bench and maybe even force his way into the first 2. But they're the 3 we've kept on. All in all, we've got a fairly small squad this year. If we take out the players that aren't at the club, we're back down to a sort of one screen page. And we can see a few of the youngsters in the squad and probably a couple of names you might not recognise. We briefly introduced them during transfer windows 2 or 3 years ago, and then you've never seen them since. So one of those is Cliff Wheeler. We signed him at the start of last year. He was a hot prospect from Telford who we got for £1,500. He sat in the under-18s all of last year and played some games. In fact, he played yesterday, 14 and scored 6. But look at him now, he's coming along nicely. 2-star ability, 4.5 potential, and he's a player we might get a chance to this year. We've got the likes of Gerrard and Quirk, who came through our youth intake last season. James Devine, who's been out on loan for a couple of years. All of these players that you may not have seen before in the first team. Jordan Stevens back from his loan last year, and the likes of John McGeever, who we've got such high hopes for. So we're certainly putting an emphasis on youth this year, and that's why we've kept the likes of Johnny Byrne around, so we've still got those experienced players at the club. So hopefully we haven't overdone it, and we'll have enough to stay up in this league. It's not about beating last season's performance, it's not about challenging in the top half. We just need to make sure we're a championship club when this stadium opens in 2 years' time. But let's get into the first game of the season against Preston. Let's see if we're favourites for the game. I'm not quite sure what the situation is. We're very slight favourites, but there's nothing to base that on. It just seems to be a case of guessing from the bookies, and all of the odds are fairly even, so we're not surprised that they don't know what's going to happen. Preston have got one player out, Simon Bennett, a 21-year-old Englishman, and he looks more like a hot prospect, as his contract suggests, rather than a first-team player. So he wasn't really going to be playing anyway. We've got 1 win and 1 defeat against Preston from last season, and we're going to persist with our 5-2-1-2 and see if it works this year. We'll go and pick the lineup, and we'll be back in a second with news from it. Okay, we've picked our lineup for the first day of the season. So we've got Alex Bass in goal, Brown the new centre-halves playing alongside Baldock and Williams, the stalwarts from last year. We've got Nico Williams at right wing back and Lewis over on the left. Mapley's in a deep line playmaker role, and Rowan McDonald's alongside him as a Carolero, though we have got Stevens who can come in as a Mazzala if we prefer. We've got David Crawford in the number 10 role, and then Armando Broja ahead of him with Bobby Duncan alongside up front. We've switched to a positive mentality this year. We want to keep possession and try and get on the front foot. You can see now our whole back six is rated 3.5 star. We're just a little bit weak in central midfield. So one superstar could change that, and the same up front where we're trying to sign a striker to replace Broja. If we could give those youngsters the 4th and 5th places in the squad, that would be great, but for now we're not going to worry too much. As long as we've got enough to stay up, we'll be happy. You can see on the bench we've got some of the players you'd expect, the likes of Ricky Ash, Marco and McCabe, who were all involved last year. Jordan Stevens is there as well, having returned from his loan, and McGeever, the young prospect up front. And we've also got the 2 players from last year's youth intake, Richard Quirk and John Gerrard, so if we're doing well they can get more minutes. But let's get into the first day of the season and find out how good or bad we really are. It's the usual 4-2-3-1 for Preston. We've seen that so much in the last season since we've come to the Championship. They've got some really good players there, so this is going to be a difficult game. We're going to encourage the lads, see if we can get into the game and do well. We've got a new assistant manager to talk about as well, and that's why we've come to this screen and spent a bit more time on it. Stuart Jellin has replaced Sean Taylor. He's a much better assistant manager. He applied for the job when the advert came out, and he's also the assistant manager of Japan, so has got plenty of experience at local and international level. So another change at the club. We've got one more that may go through before the next game. If so, I'll show you that after the match, which could be a crucial one for the club. But let's get into the match and hope our new assistant manager gives us some great advice throughout. It's McQueen with the ball on the left for Preston. He finds Vinagre. He goes back to Strano, but the highlight ends and we don't see any damage towards our goal. Preston are coming forward now though. It's McQueen finding Beachy. He goes back to McQueen again. Inside to Vinagre. Back out to Queen again. McQueen gets it back to Beachy. What to Vinagre? They're keeping the ball brilliantly, and James Garner, a brief hero from our other series, puts the ball wide at a post from the edge. I can see in the top left of the screen, Tristan Nydam scored for Colchester, a bit of a hero from our FIFA 19 career, as Crawford has another shot from the edge as the ball bounces around from a corner, but it's deflected behind and we've got another one now. Nico Williams puts it in, but it doesn't beat the first man. Crawford finds Williams again. Crawford to Brown. Brown gets it out to the right to Mapley, the playmaker. Cuts it back for the centre half again. He's probably not the man we want in that position, and he's lost the ball as a result. 15 minutes gone, it's end-to-end stuff, but it's still goalless at the moment. It's Preston with a chance this time though. Watt on the edge of the box, back to Garner. Good save by Alex Bass, and it's out to Tello on the right. Adam Lewis wins the challenge. He gets it to McDonald, who's lost it on the edge again. Wilson turns, but Reece Williams makes the tackle. Tello deflects it. It goes to Wilson on the edge. It's end-to-end stuff. There's goalmouth scrambles galore, and it's been a fantastic game for the fans so far, even though it's been even. It's a free kick for Preston from 25 yards, but it's just over the bar, and hopefully we can all breathe breathe a bit now. 20 minutes gone and it's 0-0. It's a free kick for Adam Lewis, 30 yards from goal, goes for the shot, it's tipped over by Rudd, a really good save, and now we've got a corner and in-swinger for Lewis. Can he find a Torquay head? He can't, he's headed away by McQueen again. Crawford gets the ball to Lewis, it's a great challenge in the box by Garner, he's been a star player for them so far. He did well for us at Barnsley and the head coach, where he was playing as a central midfielder there, so it doesn't surprise me he looks good at this level. Nico Williams wins the header for Torquay. He gets it to Broja, in towards the box from Nico Williams, but Duncan heads it over the bar and it's a goal kick. What a scintillating 25 minutes of football. Not the highest quality game, but end-to-end stuff and plenty of goal mouth action. What a start to the season. Crawford keeps the ball. We've had 18 shots in this game already, 10 for us and 8 for Preston, and Mapley's coming back to get that ball in the deep lying position. He finds Brown, the right centre half. Long ball over this time, route one to Broja. He's in 1-on-1, but Rudd saves. It was a massive chance. The first clear-cut one of the match, and is tipped behind for another corner which Lewis will take. Reece Williams flicks it on at the front post. I'm not quite sure why all the corners are going there. We certainly didn't change the tactic. We'll have to look at that after the match. Mapley gets the ball into Crawford. He keeps it in the middle for McDonald. McDonald to Mapley again. He's got a man over but goes short again. McDonald finally does switch it to Adam Lewis. He delivers, but it's over everyone to Nico Williams. Into Broja at the front post who heads wide, and another chance is wasted with just 10 minutes to the break. Just 5 minutes left to half time. It's Glessin on the right for Preston. He finds James Garner. He's going backwards towards his own goal. That's what we like to see. Finds Reece Oxford though, and now Watt to Garner again. Preston building an attack here. It's been a really even match, and Preston, if anything, have dominated possession. 61% they've had, but we've had just as many chances, and the only clear-cut one of the match. Broja's won it back in the middle for Crawford. He's going to go back to Brown. The centre-half's got time on the ball and goes long. Broja chases it. Great physicality in behind. Crosses for Duncan, but it's cleared away. Good defending from Preston. Nico Williams recovers it on the right though. He finds Crawford. McDonald 25 yards out. Deflects with the shot, but it's into the arms of Rudd comfortably. The deflection probably helped him on this occasion. That is half time then. It's still goalless. I'm not quite sure how after a brilliant half of football from both sides. We'll tell the lads they're doing fine and encourage them, just as our new assistants recommended, and hopefully that will pay dividends in the second half. Rowan McDonald and Crawford keeping the ball in the middle. Mapley switches it out to the right, but we don't get to see the rest of the highlight as it remains goalless and we pick up a knock. Bobby Duncan's the man. It's going to be a chance for McGeever shortly. A really tough one for Duncan. We've only got 2 first-team strikers now, and it may cost us in this one. Bass makes a brilliant save. The rebound's blocked, and Lewis clears it long, but Broja loses out in the air. We'll give it 5 more minutes before taking Duncan off. It says he should be able to continue, but we don't want to take any risks with only having 2 of them. Crawford gets the ball back to Mapley. Great effort from Mapley, 20 yards out. Edge of the D of the box, and he's tipped over by Rudd for another corner. Nico Williams delivers. Baldock at the back post loses out, and as well as that he commits a foul, which means Preston get off the hook. Exactly an hour gone, and we'll take off Duncan for John McGeever. Let's get him on as a pressing forward, shall we? In fact, we'll leave him as an advance forward. When we had Owen Jack at the club, that seemed to work better as a partnership, so McGeever will be an advance forward, and hopefully on that left-hand side he can use his left foot. 20 minutes to go. Crawford's got a knock now as well. The early season problems, players aren't quite match fit, a few little muscle injuries, and Ricky Ash is going to come on in the number 10 role. So our 2 youngsters from the youth intake won't get a chance today. One of them may still be able to come on, but with the injuries our hand's been forced in terms of substitutions. 15 minutes to go. We'll make our final sub in a moment. It's a throw on the right. Brown takes it up to Broja. He's won the header, but it's gone straight to Watt for Preston. Back to Vinagre. Now Garner. Garner goes forward, but it's straight to Baldock. Intercepts well. McDonald finds McGeever. Glessin does well to defend and goes back to his goalkeeper, Rudd. Baldock wins the header again, though. Headed away. A bit of head tennis in the middle of the pitch there, but James Wilson's in for Preston. Beats his man. Bass makes the save, and Baldock tips it behind for a corner. We're going to see it out and then take off McDonald, who's really not had a good game in the middle. Nico Williams heads away. Ash goes down the line for McGeever. Can he do something special here? We've labelled him the new Owen Jack and said he's going to be as good in the future, so we've certainly put plenty of pressure on the lad, and let's hope he can live up to it. 5 minutes to go. Jordan Stevens will come on for McDonald. He's going to go into the Mazzala role, which apparently he prefers. He's got all the stats of a playmaker, but we'll trust our assistant manager. Let's get back into it and see if we can at least get a point out of this game. We've had the slightly better in terms of chances, but Preston have dominated possession, and a draw wouldn't be a terrible result. We're into 4 minutes of stoppage time. Bass takes the goal kick. He finds Baldock and now Reece Williams. He's got time to go down the line to Adam Lewis. Back to Williams again, I presume it'll be. It is eventually. And we're all the way back to Bass. It's an awful ball back. And Bass's control with the left foot's behind for a corner. It's not what we wanted to see. We've gone back to balanced and the ball's come in. Reece Williams heads away. Baldock wins the second. We've got a chance to chase it out, but Watt will get there first. And I'm starting to get a bit nervy now. If we lose all 3 points, it would be absolutely awful. We've got to make sure we at least get one. Hunter's got the ball in the middle for Preston, but we've done well to force him backwards. A minute of stoppage time to go. Mapley picking the ball up deep again. Brown with a long ball over the top, but McQueen heads away. Another hero from our FIFA 19 series. He's playing left back for Preston as well. Adam Lewis charging over halfway. Surely the last chance of the match. Switches it to Nico Williams. There's 3 men in the box. It's missed by McQueen, but Glessing clears away. Brown heads it down. He's had a brilliant debut as Robson Brown at the back. Stevens finds McGeever. He switches it out, but it's over here, and that will probably be it now. It looks like it's going to be goalless on the first day, despite the two teams having 55 shots between them. 35 shots, sorry. What's going on with my maths? 35 shots and 15 on target between the sides, and Broja wasted the only one that was a clear-cut chance. Nico Williams will throw it in. Broja brings it down, but surely the whistle's about to go. Williams delivers, it's headed away. Ricky Ash brings it down for Mapley. We're still going on here. What's the referee doing? Nico Williams' cross is blocked, and the final whistle finally does go. It's goalless on the opening day of the season, but a really positive performance and a particularly good debut from Robson Brown. We can sympathise with the lads, just as our assistant manager recommends, and most of them are listening keenly, with Bobby Duncan motivated. Obviously the worry is going to be the 2 injuries. Are they going to be bad enough to keep them out a while? David Crawford's just 2 weeks, so it shouldn't be too bad for us, and Bobby Duncan's just a couple of days, which isn't bad at all. Both of our strikers are still in a goal drought from last season. Bobby Duncan has now played 17 hours of football. That's over 10 games, and then Broja's also gone 8 matches without finding the net, so plenty of trouble from those two. If we can get them scoring, we'll soon rise up the league, as we've got a perfectly solid defensive base, including the new signing Robson Brown. We'll go and praise him off camera in a minute, but we have got our new director of football, so I just want to introduce you to him. He's been a fantastic signing for us, and I hope in the last week of the window he'll really make a difference for the club. I don't know what buttons I was clicking on there, but it's Slavisa Jokanovic, the former Fulham manager. He's been director of football for Fleetwood for 5 years, and we got him for 110,000 of compensation. He's got good knowledge of England and a few other countries, including his homeland Serbia. He's got really good mental stats, a fairly determined personality, a decent reputation, and a really good judgment of player ability, potential and tactics. We couldn't be much more happy with that, and it's the first real big name signing either on or off the pitch for the club. We've made a few changes to the coaching team. The other one I should probably point out is Gary Neville. Although he had a poor spell at Valencia in real life as manager, he's got very good coaching attributes here and a model professional personality, which I hope will rub off on some of the youngsters. So a really good signing, that one as well. We did bring in a couple of others too. Tom Mallison, who similarly has very good stats, and we're looking forward to them working with the lads. So where we've missed out on transfers during the summer and we've not been able to change the squad too much, we've tried to then make up for that by bringing in a really strong coaching team, as a couple of other lads' contracts have expired. Those who have been with us from non-league, they've been great servants, but they're not good enough to develop lads at this level. So hopefully these guys will help the youngsters at the club this season, especially now they're being forced into the first team. But let's quickly go and look at the schedule for when we'll next be back. We'll try and leave it a little while. We'll go into September certainly. We may come back for the West Ham game at the start of September. That's immediately after the international break. And then a couple of games later we've got Palace away, where obviously Owen Jack could play, which will be a bit of a reunion for us. So one of those 2 games will be on camera. I won't promise which one yet. But I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the season. Although it was a 0-0 game, I thought it was a really good performance and an entertaining match. Let me know what you think of our little bit of transfer business. Do you think it's going to be positive for the club, having that continuity and keeping some youngsters in the first team? Or more importantly, do you think I've let too many go and we may be at risk of relegation this year? Obviously, I've still got 1 or 2 planned signings up my sleeve, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to get them through, given the other clubs that are chasing them. As always, for the first day of the season as well, let me know down in the comments where you think we're going to finish. Who's going to be bold enough to predict relegation now we've lost most of our backup team? Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories. This one with Torquay United, and then our other series, The Head Coach, where season 8 starts tomorrow. So hopefully that'll be a big transfer special. Obviously we're at the hands of our director of football in that one, so he could make it a busy or quiet summer. But a massive thanks for watching and your continued support with the series as always, and we'll see you next time for another big game from the Championship.